to help us understand how lawyers should conduct themselves and what sort of consequences are there for delinquent ones. And joining us for this conversation is Advocate Dali Mpofu. He's from the Pan-African Bar Association of South Africa. Advocate Mpofu, good evening to you. Thank you, as always, for talking to us. Let's put yourself in the shoes of Advocate Mnisi. Here you are, having trained. This is a hobby, as per the judge's words. Does he have permission to really go and run a marathon, given that we have been looking at a marathon trial and a family is seeking justice here? Would you go and run?
Polly, I don't think that's really the point that we want to address as Pabasa. The issue really, I think there are two issues here. One is, and that's the issue that played itself out in court. And it was, how do you channel a request to a judge? And that issue was fortunately addressed by the other colleagues who appear in that matter. And I think they were able, fortunately, to educate the judge as to how that is done. You don't write to the judge directly. You do it via the registrar. And strangely, the judge found something wrong with that. And he wanted Advocate Mnisi to write to him directly. That's not done. I don't know how the judge doesn't know that. But then the second issue is about the remarks that he made about black lawyers. That is totally regrettable and unfortunate, and actually something to be condemned in the strongest possible terms. Because to make remarks like that, and he's doing this for the second time, remember on the first occasion, he apologized for making similar remarks. So it seems that this is something that he strongly believes in, the inferiority or difference of black people in general, or black lawyers.
All right.
And we cannot afford to have judges who can spew out racist remarks like that, whether they are black or white. It doesn't matter.
It appears, I'm sorry to cut in, Advocate Mpofu, in the interest of time, it appears that you have a judge who is at his wit's end because of time pressures and the length of time that this trial has been running. How does he address matters of professional conduct? Because the lawyer himself was in the wrong just yesterday, referring to a police officer as dumb.
Yes, well, two wrongs don't make a right, Polly. So you cannot address issue of professional misconduct perceived by judicial misconduct, because to spew out racism and label all black lawyers by the same brush is racism, and it must be called out as that. It would be the same if a woman judge said, well, all women are like this or like that. It doesn't matter who says it, it's wrong. That would be sexist, and this is purely racist. And it cannot be tolerated in a society like this, which is already ravaged by racism. Remember, a judge is an embodiment of society and represents the Constitution itself and protects the Constitution. That Constitution says that we must move from the ills of the past. And for someone to be repeatedly repeating those ills of the past. And I dare say that if a remark like that was made by a white judge, somebody would be up in arms. Yeah. And in my book, it doesn't make any difference that it is made, because it's self-hate. And it's exactly what Steve Biko and Fanon and people like that were talking about, that we imbibe our own inferiority and we then exhibit it in some form of seeking white validation. Yeah. And that is not acceptable in normal society. If I said it to you, Paulie, and I said all black journalists are like this, you would take exception properly so. Yeah. And we must not accept that. And as Pabasa, we will be taking this up with the Judicial Services Commission through the proper channels and probably lay a formal complaint against this kind of conduct, because it's unacceptable. Right. And I'm saying that totally without going into the merits of what Mnisi did or didn't do, or whether it was right or wrong. But there is nothing that Mnisi could have done to justify this kind of racist vitriol.
All right. Advocate Mpofu, again, I need to emphasize time. I absolutely take your point, particularly with this country's history, racial history that we come from. However, again, I need to press you on this. Professionalism. Professionalism, Advocate Mpofu, this particular case has already had a lawyer disbarred because of ill behavior. Now, you have another lawyer who uses words in court that clearly are not palatable, and now he wants to go and run a marathon as if to rub salt to the wound of families who've previously complained that we travel long distances from Durban to Pretoria to come and attend trial because we want to see ultimately what's going to happen here. Surely Advocate Mnisi cannot also walk scot-free on this one.
Yeah, look, that's the point I'm making. Assume, look, firstly, it's not true. It's completely false that white advocates don't make requests to judges for such indulgences or traveling or family commitments or that kind of thing. That happens routinely.
A family commitment is different, Advocate Mpofu.
Yeah,
a family commitment, that's important.
No, fair enough. All I'm saying is that maybe let me help you like this, Tolly. Assume that what Mnisi did was wrong, so that we don't have to quibble about that. The point I'm making is that whatever he did, professionalism is a two-way street. Respect is a two-way street. You can't fight professionalism with lack of professionalism. You can't fight misconduct with misconduct. And you can't fight whatever frustration by racism. That is not acceptable in South Africa, and the line must be drawn on that. Assume Mnisi was wrong, assume he shouldn't be running marathons, assume he shouldn't make the request, whatever. But the issue of the day is, and the reason we're having this discussion, we don't have discussion every time that trial takes place. We have a discussion now because a racist remark was made by a judge, and let's address that issue rather than scapegoating by the rights or wrongs of Mnisi's conduct at this stage. It is completely unacceptable, and even if the professional lawyer had crossed the line, the way to address it is not to humiliate all black lawyers, sitting at home and being insulted on television. For what? Just for being black? No.
Advocate Mpofu, always appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed, sir. He
Pleasure.
is from the Pan-African Bar Association.